All right, welcome to Go the Distance podcast. Our guest today is James Ladd, the co-founder of Placeholder SEO. Now, this was a really interesting conversation because James started his career in the home service space and then injured his shoulder and couldn't work, and effectively pivoted his career and his business to SEO. Ended up working for a bunch of agencies and Silicon Valley companies, and then co-founded Placeholder to bring Silicon Valley SEO and marketing expertise to companies of all sizes, including home service businesses where they do a lot of work. And in our conversation, we dive deep into best practices for SEO to accelerate growth, a lot of the common mistakes that home service businesses specifically make when they approach their SEO project, and really the impact that SEO can have on a small business. And we then kind of geek out on some more technology-oriented things like how to think about SEO with the rise of AI and ChatGPT, and what the future of SEO holds. So if you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and follow us in your favorite podcasting app. It's the best way not to miss future episodes. Let's dive in. Welcome to Go the Distance, the podcast that brings you the top contractors, disruptors, and investors redefining home services. Stay ahead with cutting-edge insights on business strategy and technology built to fuel your growth. Hosted by entrepreneurs and investors Nick Durbano and Ethan Song, Go the Distance is where the future of the trades take shape.
Welcome to Go the Distance. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, excited. Ethan, Nick, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. We're very excited to talk about SEO and specifically the future of SEO and how businesses can leverage SEO to improve their growth and their business. But before we get started, I would love to let our listeners know a little bit about your background and a story of Placeholder. So maybe we can start there.
Sure. Well, in terms of SEO, in terms of marketing, I've been in the industry for about 8 years. And actually, it's kind of funny what I was like before I worked in SEO. I worked with a buddy doing HVAC and appliance repair. So I pivoted. It's kind of like this brings us full circle. So I was doing that, and then injured my shoulder and my neck, and picked up a job writing copy for a local marketing outfit that was hiring, and took to it really fast and moved up the charts there pretty quickly. And SEO became my focus in large part because you can really see where the rubber meets the road with SEO. Here's exactly how many new users came to your website. Here's exactly how many of those users purchased your product or became a hot lead. And so I just kind of loved it and stuck with it. With that local outfit, where I, we did a lot of local companies like dentists, law firms, HVAC, plumbers, roofing is a big deal in the SEO space. But from that sort of local marketing outfit, I eventually got picked up by a Silicon Valley startup that was building an SEO software platform, and they wanted to hire folks to actually do managed services for clients on the side. And so that's kind of how I got into this startup ecosystem and really understanding the future of SEO, and then turning back and applying some of the Silicon Valley strategies that I had picked up to local markets, and also using some innovations of some of the newer tools, AI tools that really make SEO a lot easier than it ever has been before. And so now I'm no longer working at that Silicon Valley startup kind of culture. We started our own company. I co-founded a company with Chris Lachance in Montreal. And so now our main approach is bringing back that Silicon Valley expertise and some of these new AI and automation solutions that make SEO really easy, and selling them to everybody. And that includes HVAC and includes trades. But everybody can really execute on this stuff these days.
Amazing. James, I got a question right off the bat here that I'm super curious about. So when you think about SEO, can you help me understand what is a successful strategy look like? What's the impact of a business? You got an HVAC guy, how much revenue is he bringing in from SEO? If someone's doing it properly, what is the impact of a successful strategy 6, 12, whatever months down the road?
Sure. 6, 12 months. Uh, yeah. So,
'Cause
I
it takes
mean,
time to ramp up, right? Like, it takes time to ramp up. So, like, what, once you're ramped and the thing is working, like, what's the impact?
yeah, I mean, basically you get, like a ton more leads from your local market. It really depends on the market that you're operating in, but, the first step that we would do if we were, sort of preparing an SEO strategy for a local outfit, um, we would look at exactly how many people are searching for, HVAC repair in Springfield, Missouri. That's me, HVAC installation, Springfield, Missouri. Okay, we got 1,400 people searching for repair. We got 720 people searching for installation. Um, okay, now we just need pages, to sort of rank for each of these phrases. And so you can get a sense of like how many people are searching for it, and if you can get a big enough bite, how many leads that would, how much traffic that would bring to your website, and then how many leads you'd get out of that traffic. So, um, I'm fudging a lot here just because I can't really give hard and fast numbers. But you can basically expect to eat up about 20% of the local market in that 720, that 1,400, within the first like 6 months or so, um, and uh, and then it compounds after that, and it's really about just how competitive the market is.
Okay, but before we go further, like I feel like we like really skipped ahead. For
It's
some of our listeners, can you just kind of quickly explain for those that don't understand the foundational concept behind what SEO is and what it does?
Yeah. Okay. So ultimately, search engine optimization. That's what it means. We're gaming the search engine. We're essentially trying to create a website that ranks for pages that, that ranks for search queries, um, that users are already looking for. And so we identify what's, the keywords that people are searching for, and then we just build a page, put those keywords on it in all the same kind of ways that the users are searching for it, and then absorb that market. So really, it's just about kind of making Google think that your website is really important and ranks for particular keyword sets that are relevant for your company. Um, and you do that by putting the keywords on the page. So like what people are searching for, you do that by having a fast website that, load quickly, although that's less important. And then you do that by having authority in your market and on the internet and in the eyes of Google. And that's like backlinking, having people point links from their website to yours. It's kind of a bit of a boondoggle, but it works. But the most important thing is just having the right keywords on the page.
So just to summarize, basically what you're saying is I go on Google and I'm like, let's say I search like my furnace is broken,
Mhm.
and then like the first like listing, you would try to help a company try to get that on that first page, that first listing, which obviously would bring them a lot of leads.
Yep. Yeah, and the nice thing about that is it's a zero sum game. So there's only 720 people searching HVAC installation Miami, and if I can get you 20% of that, then that's a bite you're taking out of competitors. So it's a very competitive kind of marketplace, when you get right down to it.
Interesting, interesting. And so, James, a lot of the folks listening to this are small, medium businesses. I mean, not kind of unlike you pre
Yeah,
SEOs are, and they're in the, let's say they're in like the HVAC world, or they run a cleaning business. Like, what should their approach be for SEO? Like, this sounds kind of technical. Like, I imagine it's not like, hey, do it yourself, you'll be fine. They're running a business on the side. Like, this seems like you need some expertise to actually make an impact, because there's like a finite resource of traffic in your
yeah.
area, and you got to be good at actually getting that, because there is competition, right? So
Well, it's true, and of course, like running an SEO agency, I'd love to say like you can't do it yourself. Come to me, pay me for it. But I think minimum viable, you need a website, like a WordPress website, even like any kind of janky Squarespace WordPress website doesn't really have to be super fast. And then you just need pages on your website for each of the search keywords you want to rank for. So HVAC installation needs a page, HVAC repair needs a page. Um, and then you need to handle that traffic when it comes in. So you need like a form fill, click to call, a widget that lets you chat, those little pop up chat widgets in the bottom. And then so you just sort of make the website, convert the search traffic, and then you just have to deal with the leads coming in. Basically, we drive a ton of traffic to the website, turn it into leads, and then your sales team picks up and runs with it. Um, yeah, and so like this is something that like a local outfit, you could probably DIY this at like a very fundamental level and kind of get on the scoreboard, I'd say like 8 hours, of sort of work and maybe 120, $300 worth of investment in like a WordPress WordPress website. And you could DIY it, but you might be better off looking for like a local agency that could spin up a WordPress website for you for like $1,200, $2,400 USD. So yeah, that's sort of like where I would land if I was going for like low hanging fruit, get it done myself. Yeah, for the smaller outfits. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And quick question, I was wondering, like, okay, let's say you're in a local geography. Let's say you're trying to apply an SEO strategy, but your competitor is also doing an SEO strategy. Does that just cancel any benefits? Like, what's the point then of everyone just doing the same thing?
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, and that's like another thing that you can look at in terms of like getting a sense of whether there's value for you in it. Just look at those search engine results pages. So Google HVAC repair in your town or whatever HVAC installation in your town, and then see how well everybody else is doing. A lot of the time, everybody else is doing a really crappy job. So all you have to do is put the keywords on the page, and like you can really jump to the top of search results because if no one else has like that link, there are 10 blue links on the Google search results page. And if the keywords aren't in that link, for all your competitors and you just put them in create a page with the right keywords in there, you can really jump to the top of rankings easily. So in some markets it's really competitive. Miami for sure, I'm sure is much more competitive, but smaller markets, smaller companies, you can really get your foot in the door if you just do the basics.
I mean, I've also heard, James, of like a lot of folks being pretty aggressive with their SEO strategy or very defensive. So folks kind of protecting someone searching for their brand, right? So someone's looking for James HVAC business, or alternatively, if like you're searching James HVAC business and I come in there and like I try to place my Nick's HVAC business and why it's better. Like there are strategies where it could be like defensive or actually super aggressive. And I find that quite interesting.
It's true. And that's something that I find like quite common in like enterprise and SaaS level strategies, where they're like really just trying to win the competitor's brand. And it's possible with SEO, it's harder just because, if you have your brand and it's distinctive, and you have like a website and the basics checked, you've kind of built a moat there, and Google isn't really going to give someone else your brand name. So that's just another reason for that low level DIY stuff, like just sort of get your foot in the door. Yeah, I mean, another strategy that you see all the time is people using Google Ads to compete for other people's brand names, and that's like constant.
Yeah, they place it at the top, like that's I love that. I love
It
that.
works.
It's so sneaky. Yeah, so good.
That's not our work, but people call it conquest marketing or conquest advertising or something. Yeah, I mean, it does work, but that another place where SEO and it can be a benefit if you already have a Google Ads package, having just like landing pages like what we discussed, like HVAC installation landing page, and then pointing your HVAC installation Google Ads to land on that page will make your ads serve cheaper and you'll convert more customers. Just another sort of side benefit of SEO plus ads, just now that it comes up.
So beyond this stuff, like any like quick takes on like common mistakes that like especially like local business are making when they try to do the SEO stuff themselves?
Yeah. Okay. So never put near me. Okay. So one thing I see all the time is like roofing installation near me, and that'll be like the title tag. That's the keyword they're going for. I mean, and people do search for near me all the time in search results, but Google will just serve them whatever the local phrase is. So don't ever put near me in your search, say in Miami or in, Columbus, Ohio, whatever. That's a big one I see. And yeah, just, if you're a local business, put your location, just basically location plus product, location plus service for each of your products, each of your services. Kind of stupid, simple. It really gets you halfway there with SEO.
So I have like an adjacent question around content creation. So like TikTok and short form video is all the rage, as I'm sure you know, James. like what's SEO's role with that? So if you're starting to do TikToks, I'm seeing a lot of like trade businesses creating short form video, successfully driving traffic to their page. Like, how do you incorporate SEO with that strategy, or balance like the SEO content that you're creating with like some of that storytelling?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's like a lot of different boxes to check here. But there's like a lot of good best practices. I'm gonna like shout out, I think, three that are really good. Um, One is reusing content. So if you're making great content on TikTok, publish it on your blog too. If you're making a great podcast, publish it on your blog too. Just sort of use that content everywhere, and link back. So link kind of among the content you're doing. So if you publish a podcast in the show notes, make sure to have a link back to your website. And so then that way, when the podcast gets picked up and it kind of goes viral, all these other aggregator websites pick it up and publish the show notes on their website, you get a backlink from dozens or hundreds of aggregator websites. So that's an example of how you can leverage social media and like other marketing. Like if you're making Facebook posts, so a backlink to your website will get you a little bit of juice. These days, and this kind of gets us back into that like domain authority backlinking aspect of SEO, which is a little bit more fudgy, and I'm a little bit less bullish on it in the long term in the face of AI. This sort of like traditional link building kind of approach, but in social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, podcasts, or whatever, backlinks are still valuable. So best practice, always have backlinks back to your website, and ideally to a relevant page where you can sell to that audience. So if it's a podcast about installation, link to the installation page. If it's a podcast about repair, or in TikTok about repair, link back to the repair page. Convert those users. SEO and CRO really go together, conversion rate optimization. So it's getting the traffic there with SEO, and then converting the traffic with CRO. And so that the CRO bit applies for all these other social media.
Right. So you're saying it's not one or the other, is that they should all work in sync to drive both like more traffic as well as better conversion on your website. That's super interesting. Now, I've been waiting for the last like 15 minutes to talk about the elephant in the room, right? So obviously SEO has been around since the birth of Google, right? So that's like 20 plus years now. I feel like for the last 20 years, every year people are saying that SEO is dead.
Yeah.
And yet, I guess since you started an SEO business, you don't believe it's dead. Otherwise, you'd be doing something else. Well,
I'm so happy.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think has happened?
Well, I think a lot of companies traditional SEO companies are not taking up AI tools and aren't really understanding it. So a lot of legacy SEO companies are kind of like are losing in this market, and then a lot of like new SEO companies that might have started up aren't. So we're just seeing less competition in our own market. But in terms of like the bigger picture, which is like, is SEO dead? Is AI going to kill SEO? And the answer, I have sort of two answers to that, two theories about how it could go, and it's kind of an 80-20. But on the one hand, there's this dynamic where like people are just going to go to AI to ask the question, and so like certain types of search queries are just like less valuable these days. Like it used to make a ton of sense to go after commonly asked questions. So maybe AI is going to eat that a little bit, but people still use Google for shopping and stuff like that. Search for products and services. So the market's still out there. In that respect, I don't think AI is ever going to like kill Google or kill SEO. I think there's always going to be a market for those 10 blue links. And part of the reason why is and please follow up. You can ask a question too. But I have sort of another piece to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the one thing that comes to my head, like my mind, is the AI is built on a corpus of data. That data is the internet, right? In large part. And so, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, James, is that like a lot of how the AI, surfaces information is like a function of where is the best information, where is it most relevant, and part of that I've heard, and let me know if I'm wrong here, but if you have a lot of content and it has good backlinks and there's authority, if someone's searching for something in ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, there's a higher likelihood that it'll pull from that data set than something else, right? So I don't know if to me it sounds like they're linked. Yeah,
I mean, I think they're linked at some point, but I mean, I feel like the criterias are different. And
Of
so
course.
of course, if you're the most known, right, plumber in your city, most likely you're going to appear. But I mean, I just did this test with a bunch of guys, and it's like, okay, on Google, maybe they appear on page 2, or maybe they're at the bottom of page
Mhm.
1, but on AI, they're only showing 3 names, like in a
Yeah,
lot
Yeah.
of cases,
Yeah.
like top
yeah,
3 in the city. So and the difference is because you can't really scroll, it's like you're non-existent.
mhm,
Mhm. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
feeding 3 answers, and yeah, it used to be 10 blue links, now it's just those 3. Um, and so, I mean, there's a couple pieces and one, Nick, you're absolutely right that like all the traditional things that you do for SEO are the same things that are generally speaking that are going to get you to rank in large language models like GPT. So yeah, like having a big website, you kind of want to do most of the same things. Having a big website, be like having good authoritative content, all like individual pages for each of those. Like installation Miami, like if you want to rank number 1 for that in SEO, and that will feed in and you'll kind of like do better in GPT. Um,
So are you
so
doing that work with your clients then? Like trying to optimize for like GPT results, like trying to get them to be, quoted under specific like FAQs or things like that?
yeah, yeah. In some cases, for like a regular HVAC company, like if we're just sort of like building a website, we're not generally like kind of like looking at that level. All the same things that we would do to win in SEO, um, at that kind of level. It's all kind of the same stuff. But yeah, for some of our clients that are like big AI software platforms that publish like a ton of content, we have found that certain kinds of schema markup get us picked up into Google search results. So a question and answer schema, Q&A schema. If you Google that, it's basically a way to mark up questions and answers that are common for a particular industry. You say the question, then you give the answer, mark it up with schema. And we found that gets us into Google search results, or I mean, into the AI results really, really fast. Um, so yeah, there are like strategies you can do, but yeah, like in just in terms of like practical terms, and for particularly for trades, um, generally it's better just to sort of do all the right SEO things, with the exception of like not really worrying as much about backlinks. I have a pet theory about that, just that the backlinks are going to be less important than brand mentions. So just having your brand out there is more important than backlinks because the AI is never really going to follow the backlink. It's just going to see your brand mention. Um,
interesting,
but
interesting.
all of that aside, like one other thing I just wanted to mention is that the where I think that AI is actually going to go is agents. So AI agents that essentially operate your computer, operate your browser, your operating system the same way that a human does. And they just do it a lot faster, a lot quicker, and that's where things are trending. And they use the same tools that humans do. They generally interact visually with the OS. And so the 10 blue links in Google search results are probably going to be important for AI agents, just like they are for users. So I'm also still bullish on those 10 blue links, the traditional SEO ranking strategy,
Interesting.
just because AI is going to be using all of that. And so I don't really think that injecting AI into Google search results, like the AI answers bit, is really where AI is going to end up. It's going to be AI's using these tools, not being built into them.
That's an
The
interesting
same-
perspective.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
so I mean, just to clarify, I think for some of the listeners that don't understand what you're saying, you're basically saying that like rather than have, let's say, like ChatGPT give you the answer, you would have your AI agent research the web to
Mhm.
figure out who's the best plumber for you. And while they're researching the web, most likely they would still have to go through the listings and the Google pages and read the reviews
Yeah.
with your
And
criteria, let's say, in mind, and
yeah,
then give you the right answer. Is that what
Mhm.
you're saying?
And so you'll want that AI to find your business just like a regular user would in Google search results or in Google Map Pack, all the little
Yeah.
yeah.
right. Well,
That's,
I
What?
think ChatGPT already has something like that, right? Where like in the browser it'll go and it'll actually go and
Yeah, those
like
tools already
yeah,
exist.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
obviously, there's a lot of privacy issues, and like some websites don't allow that to happen because effectively they're like bots, right, to a certain extent. So I think it's going to be interesting how that plays out. Um, but I would say it's an interesting point you're making because like both can happen at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Like AI results will interact with the agent, which is also AI driven, to yield some kind of result that hopefully will help your business grow.
Mhm. One like just tiny detail to follow on to this is I'm very interested in looking for a new schema markup language, and I've seen some hints of this that's designed for AI agents. So like a way that I can put a little bit of code on my website that says, oh, if you're an AI agent, press 8 to buy my product, press 9 to connect with service.
Oh,
That kind of
interesting.
little
Interesting.
gate.
So like optimizations in the code base, specific like little breadcrumbs for the agents themselves to help them go faster. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think.
And I
Yeah.
think platforms like Amazon, like Walmart will really want this because if I say AI agent, go buy, go shopping for me at Walmart, that agent would have to navigate a bunch of pages and scroll and find, but no, Walmart wants it to happen fast. So they put a, schema on the back end so the AI can just quickly pick and choose it. Basically like expose an AI API kind of for buying and selling
Yeah.
and e-commerce. I think, Shopify, this is going to be released soon. And the same way Google 10 blue links, same kind of deal. I think we have to plan for AI agents. And so that's a
Yeah.
big SEO now.
My conclusion from this is do not do it yourself. There's a lot of there's a lot of nuance and a lot of stuff changing right now.
Yeah.
It's probably yeah.
I may make it sound easy, or difficult, but yeah, I think at the very low end, just get your name out, build a local website. Just, but, uh, uh, but maybe at these higher levels, yeah, it's pretty complicated, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the reality, like you say, is that like I think James, that like there's some foundational things that will likely stay true in the
Mhm.
future. We can't predict what's going to happen, but there are certain things that will continue to be good. And now on the other hand, you want to save that 20% to be like observant of like the new trends where maybe you can catch. Because I always say, like, especially if you're a new business, right? Let's say you're a business with like 500 plus reviews. You've been in the business for 10, 20 years. You're most likely going to rank pretty decent, right?
Yes.
But like then there's also the other guy who's like, you're a 25-year-old. You're basically starting this from scratch. You were just a technician. You're like, now I'm going to build my own business. Then it's different because you're actually looking for that edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, SEO can be that edge. A lot of the time, the big companies aren't doing SEO exactly right. And if you just sort of do stupid simple, here, my company exists. Here's our service. Here's where we serve. Here's, the locations where we serve. You can get a bigger slice of the pie. So if you're 25 and you can do like $300 in 8 hours, Saturday and Sunday, spin up a little website, make 7 pages, one for each of the different services you offer, you can get a bite out of that, and Google will respect it. AI will pick it up. So yeah, I would say like on the
Just
low
takes
end,
time, right? They
yeah,
should they
DS
should know it's going to be like a few months of work, like with no reward for a little while, and then it'll start to pick up.
yeah, it'll take a few months to
Yeah.
get to really get in there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Amazing.
Well, this is great. Well, we're coming on the end of our chat. I wanted to ask you one last question. Like, so from your perspective, taking all this stuff we talk about, AI, SEO, marketing,
Mhm.
next 5 years, like what should a business owner be thinking about in terms of winning, like in their local geography?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, um, doing all the basics, just like everything that you ought to do, all the basic stuff. Because just running a good business and being a business, just in all the fundamental ways are going to be important, and that's authority. But I, more and more adopting AI tools so that all of your interactions, um, as a company have some AI involved. That's how we're like running our company too. Just adopt these, like basically do the 80, like the 80/20. 80 is just basic groundwork, build a good business, just say what kind of business you are. And that 20 is adopting these AI tools and making sure that this stuff is going to be sold pretty cheap, right? And as it hits market, first movers are going to get an advantage. So that would be my rec, whether it's in any sort of marketing capacity, get on board as well.
Yeah, I mean, one last advice I have is almost like in order to understand the tools, you have to first be a user yourself, right? So like next time, rather than searching for something you want in, let's say Google, actually go into one of the new AI apps and do that search there just to
Yeah.
see what it looks like. So you can sort of like see hints of like what the future could be, and start thinking about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, like, if you're starting a business or you just acquired a business, this is still a really big opportunity, especially in home services, right? Like I think winning at SEO can be that differentiator that gives you an edge. It's not as competitive as maybe some other categories.
Yep. Yeah. It's a zero sum game, and you can take a big bite just by doing the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's what I love about local businesses, because you can only compete with whoever services your area. You're not competing with the world, and so therefore, you can. I agree with you, Nick. You can definitely out execute them in some of these like foundational things.
Yeah.
mhm.
Um, but I always like to have the future also in mind. So keep that as one of the areas you can optimize as well. Well, thank you so much, James, for coming. I really appreciate it. Last word: if someone wants to learn more about your services or follow you, what should they do?
No, sure. You can check us out on LinkedIn, on Placeholder SEO, or at placeholderseo.com. That's our website.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for
Hey,
coming on today.
thanks,
Appreciate
James.
your time.
Of course, a lot of fun. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Hank.
Cheers.